Hello and welcome back, everyone. This episode is adapted from a clinician-written article on Mentalyc and brought to life in audio for therapists who prefer listening on the go.
Exactly. We know how busy things get. And we want to give a warm acknowledgement to the author of this piece, Sylvie Saxena, MBA, LSW. It's a really thoughtful exploration of a topic that is just, well, it's the heart of everything we do.
It really is. And just for a little context, since the article does come from Mentalyc, it helps to know it's a platform designed to make clinical documentation and reflection more manageable for therapists, which honestly gives us more brain space for the stuff we're about to talk about today.
That is the absolute truth. More brain space is always the goal.
Okay, so let's dive in. You know that feeling? Maybe a few months into working with a new client, and you think you have a good rhythm, a solid connection, and then something shifts. They start showing up to sessions, say, 5 minutes late, then 10. Then they cancel last minute, and your mind just starts racing, right? What did I do? Is the therapy not working? Are they angry with me?
I know that feeling in my bones. It's that subtle, creeping anxiety that the ground beneath you is getting a little shaky. You start questioning the alliance itself. Is it as strong as I thought it was?
Exactly. And my first instinct is always to, fix it. To be extra nice next session, or maybe to gently call it out. But I'm so afraid of making it worse. It feels so fragile in those moments.
And that's the beautiful, terrifying paradox of this work, isn't it? That therapeutic alliance, it's not this static thing we build and then just have. It's a living, breathing entity. It's a process. It's less like building a bridge and more like tending a garden. It needs constant attention, and sometimes things look like they're dying when they're actually just preparing for a new phase of growth.
Tending a garden. I like that. It feels less structural, more organic. Because that client who starts showing up late, maybe it's not that the alliance is failing. Maybe the alliance is finally strong enough for them to start testing it.
There it is, yes. That's the psychoanalytic lens right there. The behavior isn't just resistance to be overcome, it's communication. It's a reenactment. That client might be unconsciously asking, "Are you like the others? Will you get frustrated and give up on me if I'm not perfect? Can I trust you, really trust you, to stick around when things get messy?"
Okay, so reframing it that way completely changes the energy. It's not a threat to the alliance. It's an invitation to deepen it. It's the work itself showing up right there in the frame of the session.
Precisely. The alliance becomes this crucible. It's the safe, contained space where all of this intense heat can happen. It has to be strong enough to hold the regression, the projections, the anger, the disappointment, all the things that couldn't be held safely in the client's early life. Without that strong container, our interpretations, our challenges to their defenses, they would just feel shaming. They'd feel like an attack.
Right. It's like you can't ask someone to look at the scariest parts of themselves if they don't fundamentally believe you'll be there to catch them if they fall. So the alliance isn't just supporting the therapy, it is the therapy in a way.
It's the medium through which everything happens. And that's why this work takes time. It's a slow, gradual process of building trust. It's the consistency of you showing up every week, same time, same place, ready to listen without judgment. That reliability, that predictability, is profoundly reparative for someone whose world has been chaotic and unpredictable.
It's so true. I had a client once who started idealizing me. Everything I said was brilliant. I was the best therapist they'd ever had.
And part of me, the human part, was like, oh, this is nice.
Of course, we all have that part. It feels good to be idealized.
Right? But the clinical part of me knew this is transference. This is the positive transference that allows the work to begin. They were projecting this unmet need for a perfect, attuned parent onto me. And I just knew that the other shoe was going to drop eventually.
And it always does. Because we're not perfect parents. We're human. We'll eventually misunderstand them or say the wrong thing or need to reschedule a session. And that idealization will shatter.
And it did. A few months later, I had to cancel a session for a family emergency. And the next time they came in, the temperature in the room had dropped 20 degrees. They were withdrawn, clipped, angry, and it was terrifying. That rupture felt enormous.
Those are the moments that test our own capacity as clinicians. Our own counter-transference gets so activated. Our own fears of failure, of abandonment. The impulse is to get defensive, to explain, to smooth it over. But the real work is to stay in that fire with them. To say, essentially, I see your anger. I see your disappointment. And I'm not going anywhere. Let's talk about this.
That's exactly what I tried to do. It was one of the hardest sessions I've ever had, but by exploring their anger, we uncovered this deep well of experience of being let down by people who were supposed to care for them. And the act of me not getting defensive, of me just sitting with their rage and validating it, that was the moment the alliance went from being a nice, polite relationship to something real and resilient.
That's the repair. That's the magic. The rupture isn't a failure of the therapy. The repair is the success. Every time you successfully navigate a rupture, you are co-creating a new relational template for that client. You're showing them, in real time, that relationships can withstand conflict, that anger doesn't have to mean annihilation or abandonment.
It's so powerful, but it requires so much of us to be that attuned, to track not only their process, but our own reactions, our own counter-transference. In the moment, it's hard to even see it clearly. After that session, my own notes were a mess of my own feelings. Was I being firm enough? Too apologetic? Did I miss something?
Oh, completely. We can't possibly process it all in real time. That's why reflection after the session is non-negotiable in this kind of deep work. It's where the integration happens for us as clinicians.
Actually, that's a place where I've found some of the newer tools to be surprisingly helpful. After a particularly dense session, I use my notes to reflect with Alliance Genie. It's part of the Mentalyc platform.
Oh, Alliance Genie. I've heard of that. How does it work? I'm always a little skeptical of AI in our field, you know?
I was too, believe me. But it's not what you think. It doesn't listen to sessions or anything like that. It works entirely off your own progress notes. So after I write my note, it helps me see patterns I might have missed. It can surface moments that suggest a potential alliance rupture or a transference theme that's emerging. It's like a supervision support tool, prompting me with questions based on my own documentation. It seems the client expressed disappointment here. How did you respond to that? It just guides my reflection.
Whoa. So it's not telling you what to do. It's helping you think more deeply about what you've already observed. It's like a mirror for your own clinical process. That's a perfect way to put it. It's a mirror. And it helps me catch my own counter-transference blind spots. It helps me track those subtle shifts in the alliance over time, session to session, which is so hard to do when you're in the thick of it. And honestly, just having my notes automated and then seamlessly transferred to my EHR with a click, it frees up so much mental energy that I can then reinvest into this deeper, reflective work. It's a game changer for not getting burned out.
That makes so much sense. The less time we spend on the administrative grind, the more capacity we have for this intense emotional and intellectual labor.
Exactly. It's about preserving our own energy so we can be fully present and available in that therapeutic space.
Quick pause here. If this part of the work feels familiar, that juggle between deep clinical thinking and the never-ending pile of documentation, Mentalyc can help. Its AI-powered tools support your documentation and clinical judgment, all while staying fully HIPAA and SOC 2 compliant. You can explore it for yourself at Mentalyc.com.
It really does bring up the evolution of our field, though, doesn't it? This whole conversation. We've moved so far from that classical idea of the analyst as a blank screen.
Oh, thank goodness. The idea of being a complete blank screen is so unnatural. It feels almost cold. I can't imagine it feeling safe for a client, especially one with relational trauma.
I agree. And modern psychoanalysis agrees too. The thinking has shifted to something more like attuned abstinence. You're not a blank wall, but you're also not colluding with the client's defenses. You remain emotionally responsive and engaged, but you maintain your therapeutic stance. You don't get pulled into their drama, but you show them you understand it.
It's a delicate balance. It's being a real human in the room, but a human with a very specific boundaried role. And that brings up the frame, right? The importance of the structure itself, the time, the feed, the cancellation policy, it all feels so businesslike sometimes, but it's profoundly psychological.
It's the container. The frame is the container. When we hold those boundaries firmly but kindly, we're communicating reliability. We're communicating that the space is sacred and protected. Every time you start and end on time, you are sending a powerful nonverbal message. I respect this work, I respect you, and you can count on me.
And when the frame gets broken or needs to change, like in the shift to teletherapy over the past few years, it can really strain the alliance if it's not handled carefully.
Yes. Teletherapy has been a huge adaptation for this kind of work. We lose so many nonverbal cues. We can't feel the energy in the room in the same way. Is that pause because they're thinking? Or did their screen just freeze?
The eternal question of the Zoom therapist. And you have distractions you can't control. A client taking a session from their car or their kid walking into the room. It challenges that sense of a sacred, contained space.
It does. And we have to be much more explicit in managing the frame. Verbally checking in more. How is this feeling for you over video today? Or, I notice you're in your car, and I'm wondering what it's like to try and have this conversation here. We have to actively co-create that sense of safety that used to be provided by the physical space of our office. But it's not impossible. I've found that for some clients, the intimacy of being in their own home has actually deepened the alliance. It's a trade-off.
That's a great point. It's not inherently better or worse, just different. It requires a different kind of attunement from us. It all comes back to this idea that the relationship is co-constructed. It's not me, the expert, doing therapy to a passive client. It's two people in a relationship figuring things out together. My reactions matter. My presence matters. It's an intersubjective field.
That's the relational and intersubjective turn in psychoanalysis. The therapist is never a neutral observer. We are always a participant. Our counter-transference isn't a distraction to be eliminated. It's valuable data about the client's internal world. When a client makes you feel bored or confused or helpless, that's often a powerful clue about what it's like to be them or what it was like for others to be in a relationship with them.
So instead of judging that feeling in myself, oh, I shouldn't be feeling bored, it's about getting curious. What is this boredom telling me? Is the client defending against something more activating? Am I being pushed away?
Exactly.
Get curious about everything. The alliance isn't just about the positive, warm feelings. It's about the capacity of the relationship to hold all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, the boring. When a client can experience all of that with you and see that you're still there, still engaged, still trying to understand, that's what creates lasting change. They begin to internalize that relational model. They begin to be able to hold all of those parts of themselves with more compassion.
It becomes a corrective emotional experience, not because we're reparenting them in a literal sense, but because we're offering them a new, healthier experience of being in a relationship.
A new experience of being known, accepted, and emotionally held, even in their most difficult moments. In a world that is so focused on quick fixes and superficial solutions, this work is a radical act of slowing down. It's an invitation to relate deeply, to feel deeply, and to heal deeply.
It really is. It's the reason I got into this field. For those moments of profound, authentic connection, even when they're hard. Especially when they're hard.
Me too. It's the most challenging and the most rewarding work there is. So if we were to boil this all down to one practical thing, one takeaway for the clinicians listening, what would it be?
I think for me, it would be to get more comfortable with rupture, to see it not as a sign of failure, but as an opportunity, to lean into the discomfort instead of trying to smooth it over immediately.
That's a beautiful one. And to build on that, maybe a simple practice. For this week, after each session, just take 60 seconds and ask yourself one question. Where was the most emotional turbulence in the room today? In my client or in me? Just notice it. You don't have to fix it or even understand it fully. Just notice where the energy was. That simple act of noticing is the first step to understanding the deeper dynamics of the alliance.
I love that. It's so simple and so profound, just noticing the turbulence. And, if you want support in tracking those patterns of turbulence across sessions, that's exactly where a tool like Alliance Genie can help you reflect on your notes without ever storing recordings or replacing your own judgment.
A perfect way to bring it full circle. It's about using our tools to support our humanity, not replace it. Thanks for this conversation. It's been incredibly rich.
You too. It always is. And thank you all for listening. We'll see you next time.